Good afternoon, students. So, as I told you yesterday, that I'll tell you about the worst form of torture available on planet Earth. And this is it. Does not involve any blood, does not involve any weapons, does not involve any touching even. You're not even touching the person you're torturing. Okay. Just involves water, an inclined plane, a towel, and that's it. Okay. So what happens is I'll just show you in a video. So the person is placed on an inclined plane and the legs are up, the head is below, there is a towel placed on top of the head, and water is poured on his face. Continuously, slowly, water is poured on his face. And this is it. This is all there is to it. This is called waterboarding, and this is the worst form of torture available on planet Earth. This is so inhumane that almost all countries, Western countries especially, have banned it as a form of torture. That you cannot use this form of torture on your enemies, however bad they may be, whatever information you want to get out from them, whatever you want to do to them, but you cannot do this to get your work done. This is that bad. Now, why is it that bad? Okay, let me show you a presentation. Let me show you a picture, not a presentation. So this is the picture. This is what is happening. Actually, these marks are there because I had made this video and I forgot to press the record button, and now I'm recording it again. Poor me. Anyways, so the mouth, and so as we saw, the person is on an inclined plane, right? And since you're pouring water slowly, the mouth and the mouth and this nasal cavity uh, are filled with water. So the person has a lot of difficulty breathing because the passage is not clear, right? Usually we breathe from the nose, and when the nose is blocked, this we breathe from the mouth, and here both of them are kind of blocked. So you cannot breathe easily. You cannot breathe freely. All you will have to actually overcome this pressure of this water and take air in the form of bubbles, and that air will be also very less. It will not be able to fulfill the amount of oxygen you want in the body. So the worst thing that happens is when this sinus cavity is full and this mouth is also full and you have trouble breathing, the brain triggers those sensations that you are going to drown. Imagine this: lungs are safe here. Have no connection or no contact with water, so they are absolutely safe. The person is actually not drowning, but the brain triggers that feeling of drowning in that person, that you are going to drown. You're not being able to breathe. You're surrounded with water, and you are going to drown. You are going to die. So this form of torture does not involve any pain as such. There's no pain in the person, okay, the person will feel. This involves a mental trigger, okay, that the person feels that he or she just was just about to die. Okay, they do this for a while and then they bring the person up when he's not being able to take it anymore. And that person also realizes what death is like. They just take him to the brim, absolute extremity of life, because what do we care more about in life? That is, we survive. That is why human beings progressed in society, because the will to live, there's something called the will to live, is the strongest force we have in us. If I've told you this in the class, I'm telling you again: will to live, okay, will to survive. So if there is a lion and you are in the room with the lion, what will you do? Will you just give in to the lion? No, you will try a level, although you know you might not win. But the will to live, this will to live will make you fight till the last breath. Whatever might happen, you will fight. So this fighting spirit, that will to live for living, is one of the strongest feeling we have in our human body. Okay, and this will to live is being killed slowly in this okay, that you cannot do anything, you are just going to die. The person wants to live, okay, but he is being made to feel that he is dying and he cannot do anything about it. So this actually is a very, very bad form of torture. Okay, and most people are usually given to this, and but this is so inhumane, and that nobody should be able to should go through this torture. So most of the countries, as I told you, banned it. So this was the worst form of torture, and the narrator, the protagonist in our story, Deepwater, is going through something similar. So you can imagine the intensity of emotions he is going through. That is the whole purpose, that is the whole point why I'm telling you about all this, that drowning is one of the worst feeling you can get. Okay, you can also try an experiment. Fill a bucket full of water, drown your head in it. Okay, just your head. Try to see how long you can keep your breath inside, and just wait for 2 more seconds. As soon as you feel you want to come up, just wait for 2 more seconds, because you're not going to die there, because your lungs are not going to be filled with water. Just wait for 2 more seconds there. You will actually get that feeling of drowning. You will get this feeling that you are going to die if you don't do something instantly, and your head will automatically spring up and you will gasp for air. So this is a very strong emotion that people feel, and this emotion is being described in the chapter very beautifully. And not just that, the chapter also talks about how these feelings, how these fears that are there in our body, because after this incident that the author had in a swimming pool where he was about to be drowned, this instilled a fear in him, and he was never he could not later then go and play in the waters, or go fishing, or kayaking, things like that. So he wanted to get out of this fear. So whatever he tried to do, he hired an instructor, he practiced hard in the swimming pool with the instructor, how he made it. So whole process again, and eventually he gets over that fear. So this is a story of victory, story of positivity, that however hard it might seem in life, there are ways you can overcome those fears. Some people fear going on stage. How do you overcome that? By going on stage. Slowly you go on stage. You go on stage to just say the thought. You go on stage to just say uh, a simple news when you're reading. You don't have to necessarily remember anything. But slowly, you need to actually go there in order to defeat that fear. Right? There's another video. I'll show you the science
Hey there,
behind drowning, what
welcome to
happens to the
Life
body
Noggin.
when
Every
we
year
are
there are
actually
over
inside
370,000 drowning
water.
deaths worldwide, with children under 5 being the most at risk. And with all the drowning deaths you see in movies and TV, it's no wonder that people are afraid of dying that way. But what's actually going on during that process? Well, firstly, drowning isn't like how you see it in the movies. There's not a lot of thrashing around or yells for help. Typically, it's a silent act, where the person's mouth sinks below the surface of the water and then reappears as they try to breathe. Once they can no longer hold their initial breath and start to hyperventilate, they might aspirate water, triggering something called a laryngospasm. This is where the person's vocal cords spasm, blocking their airways and protecting their lungs. However, it also inconveniently makes yelling for help significantly harder to do. Since the person can't take in any fresh air, their oxygen supply starts to fall, potentially leading to a condition called hypoxia. This is where there's not enough oxygen reaching the body's tissues, and eventually, as the person becomes unconscious, there's a relaxation of their airway, allowing their lungs to fill with water. Depending on how long the person has gone without air, varying levels of damage can occur. For example, a 2013 study found that the likelihood of surviving with little to no brain damage was very low after being submerged for 10 minutes or more. The lack of oxygen can also lead to cardiac arrest, so basically what I'm saying is that drowning is absolutely terrifying, so please wear your life jackets, kids. They're cool, and they'll keep you safe. I know I look fantastic in my floaties. On top of all of that, if the person is in really cold water, there's also the fear of hypothermia, where the core body temperature falls below 35 degrees Celsius. When hypothermia sets in, it'll cause the body to start shivering intensely, and the person might act clumsy or confused. Their bodies slow down, including their respiration, heart, and metabolic rates, and eventually they might lose consciousness and even die. Let's all take a moment to mourn the loss of Jack from Titanic, but come on, there was seriously enough room on that door for him too. While hypothermia is a serious threat, it may actually help to prevent the effects of hypoxia. See, it can trigger the diving reflex, where blood vessels constrict and the heart rate slows, and the blood is diverted to the parts of the body that need it the most, like the brain. Hypothermia also decreases how much oxygen is needed by the body's tissues, meaning that it can actually prolong survival and help prevent the tissue damage from hypoxia. In fact, hypothermia and the diving reflex is often cited as a big reason why some young children have been able to survive drowning after being under the water for far more than 10 minutes. That being said, do not try to replicate that yourself. It's definitely best to stick with those huge inflatable pool toys instead. I call dibs on the flamingo. Are you afraid of the water? What life-threatening situation do you want us to talk about next? This episode was a little bit morbid, so why don't we celebrate the fact that you exist? If you want to know the odds of you being born and how lucky you are to be alive, check out this video. See, in most cases,
So as we saw that what drowning induces in the body, what kind of reactions. Okay, wait. Sorry. As we saw, what kind of reactions are induced in the body, and when a person is drowning. So I hope you will be able to relate more to the protagonist, to the narrator, and will actually be empathetic with him and his condition, and also celebrate with him how he overcame that feeling. And again, I'm suggesting you try to do it tomorrow morning whenever you're taking a bath. Try to fill a bucket of water, try to submerge your head inside it, and try to hold it there, see how long you can hold it, and see that. And please remember that feeling at the last moment where you want to pull your head out of the water. Just hold there for a little longer, then you will feel what exactly people who are drowning feel like. Thank you.